Hi, this is Sonia. Welcome back to my art channel. Today I'm just going to do the subject of mind maps, the use of how I use mind maps for art. I've got quite a long history of using mind maps. I just thought I'd just show you that. I basically started using them at university to help me with revision. So this was like, it's particularly, well, this is haematology, but this is, I've got rid of a lot of my old notes, but just to say it was really handy. They can be used in different ways. Basically, they can be used for brainstorming, planning, and also studying. So this is just, yeah, I found them particularly, I've tried to share this with my kids, but I'm not sure I think you've got to find your own ways, haven't you, what works. There's so many different study techniques. But this was really good if I ever want to learn a topic thoroughly or distill a complicated text, like a textbook into, it was a way of just identifying important points and having it visually just help me if I needed to go back in and remember the essential information, and great also for essays. Yeah, and you can see I used to like to use colour here in my notes. So no, this is like, yeah, study notes. Okay, let's go to art now. So then I've got back into using them I use them for different purposes actually. Like sometimes, this one's one I'm going to do because I want to do an essay for Substack at some point on why I love abstract art now. And so I want to like break it down, sort of plan it a bit, just sort of way of chunking it into some different areas that I want to mention within that essay. And then I've used, this is the one I've shown in a few videos ago about I was meant to be doing a vision board on a free workshop, but to be honest with you, I just recovered from an illness and I didn't have any magazines or anything visual material lying around. So I thought what's going to work best for me is kind of like just mind mapping some ideas for what I want to include in my year ahead. And the other nice thing about a bigger mind map is you can add to it as well. So yeah, basically I think I read a book years and years ago. I think it was Tony Buzan who was writing on mind maps, but just to break it down, like a mind map is a visual diagram that can organise and show the relationships between ideas related to a central topic. And yeah, I just think if you've got a visual sort of memory, it's just a really fun way of brainstorming, of planning. So I just wanted to share this one quickly, and then following on there's going to be, I'll just talk over this related to abstract and my abstract art ideas. I can show what I've been working on recently, some reworking, which is actually something I should write down for some ideas. I'll come to that. But basically, yeah, this morning I just wanted to quickly demonstrate how I do a mind map for getting some more abstract art ideas, and also to focus me in on what maybe I want to concentrate on at the moment. So one of the areas, like one of my big branches, so you have your big branches, which then you can feed out, and then you can sort of make them grow into more ideas. But abstract landscapes are something I want to concentrate on this year. And I was then thinking, so when am I going to get inspiration from my abstract landscapes? So I've got outdoors, and outdoors I could sketch, take photos, I could write, make notes, which would be actually quite good in terms of abstraction, because then you wouldn't be too heavily influenced. Actually, you could also write down, so this is what you could add, poetry. Maybe look at some poetry by people or music, by artists who've written about, sort of been influenced themselves by landscapes. Then you've got books. I always love to go to books. But I was thinking here, there's a possibility of stretching oneself and not, like, you don't just have to go to, well, you can, I'll put it down, landscape art books, but maybe also travel books, photography books. I should also put just magazines, maybe visual cutout. I don't really use magazines, to be honest with you. I don't, but sometimes at the library you can pick up free ones when they're out of date. Goals. What are my goals? And so here I just did this section for people who might be a bit more and I should do this more myself actually, because often I just want to concentrate on the fun creative aspects. But maybe you've got some practical goals that you want to achieve with your art this year, maybe even like business goals as well. So chunking it, sort of breaking it down. So for example, if I want to get, which actually I do with realistic landscape series, often artists talk about it's a good idea to do a series of work so it can kind of make sense to other people. I think that there could be something in that for me. Obviously keeping a sketchbook still, you could enter competitions if I wanted to set myself some sort of professional goals. Could you sell your abstract landscapes? And here you could put prints, investigate prints, originals. I do actually want to do a website, but I don't think that's going to come onto my abstract art ideas. I should probably put that onto this one here, practical work. Do you know what? I'm going to add it right now. Yeah. So yeah, that's how you can alter as you go along. Materials, teaching, like workshops, materials. I want to focus. I don't want to put a load of too many ideas here because I really want to focus on mixed media landscapes with abstract landscapes, because I really enjoy that, especially as a sort of a counterpoint to my other focus, which is gouache landscapes. So I kind of like, there's the two things that, to be fair, I'm fairly focused on. Okay, and I put time. Do I need to give myself some limits when it comes to abstract art? I think because I'm so into it, I can easily, it feels like if I've recently sorted out all my work, gone through my massive pile of paper, and the majority of that pile of paper turned out to be abstracts. And while I love that, I wonder if sometimes I still need to, maybe give myself a bit of limits on that. This is just for ideas. You can cross stuff off as well if it doesn't work for you. Then I want to, I always love to put explore. This is what gets me that whole, excited. How am I going to explore abstracts? And I've got lots of ideas for this. I think I'm going to carry on. I love sketchbooks. I don't think that's going to change. And I'm going to do altered. I love my, I do show it in the video because I actually do go back to them. Someone else asked, do I use my abstract sketchbooks and make finished work from them? So the answer is yes. They do influence finished work, but not in the way that I would look at this and I think I did try that, and it just didn't feel right for me to go and just enlarge this and then turn it into an enlarged acrylic canvas. Or I think what I would do, how I use this, is I will look at it for visual ideas, and then some of the sort of forms or the colours or the mark making do come into pieces on paper, and I think hopefully maybe you see that as well. Oh yeah, and then I want to still keep up a dedicated abstract sketchbook, because this is something new over the last few years for me when I've been getting into abstract art, and I'm actually got a good quality sketchbook that I want to finish because I'm allowing myself that. I love exploring these topics through other, not just within my sort of small bubble of my own ideas, obviously. So going to documentaries, videos, podcasts. I can put books again, but see, some of these will also intertwine. And then how do I bring it into my other work, which I do. I think the abstracts will come into my realistic paintings as well, and drawings, because you can use abstracts as backgrounds, and I feel like they're also influencing. It's going to come into my mark making. I've noticed that, and I think that's good to be aware of. I've noticed that, for example, like lots of dashes, this is sort of coming into like landscapes, which aren't totally abstracted. I'm still painting a landscape, but often like my marks are getting maybe a bit more impressionistic, that sort of stippling, adding different, well, I'm just going to demonstrate there, dashes and textures as well. Okay, finished pieces. I want to work on paper, and I want to also, I've got canvases that I reuse, and I've started, to be honest with you, that I kind of need to, I like to work on a few on one time, and I think that's fine. I'm going to carry that on. I want to also think about small works and also large, because this is what makes it doable. There are times when we don't have much space, or say you're going away, or you know, you're inside your kitchen. You can do miniatures. It doesn't have to be. I know abstracts often, when you think about it in galleries, you think about those sort of the big ones like Rothko and Jackson Pollock, but you can make little, like I can show you right now actually. I made these little tiny abstracts, which, yeah, I've made little tiny abstracts which I quite like. So, and then obviously I can go to large. I put why and the meaning because I think that also feeds into my art and helps motivate me. And I think for me, why I'm drawn to abstracts so much is that I do feel they sort of ease, so like to re-energize, like feelings that you get from different forms of art are, for me, for myself, it's an important component of when to go for which art form. So yeah, for example, I think for anxiety, if you're really anxious, for myself, the sort of repetitive mark making, or the fact that you can just let your mind wander and you don't have to concentrate, that there isn't a reference, actually, it's just a different kind of vibe, really. I've put here composition because I think there is benefit, obviously, to at times studying. It doesn't mean that we shouldn't study. Obviously, there's lots of books and videos on techniques, and I probably could do with studying a bit on composition. But on the other hand, other times, I've got to be honest with you, I think there's times for both of these focuses, because there is something to be said. I probably shouldn't be saying this, really, should I, really? But I would argue that there are times when you should throw all the rules, like don't think about it. If you just need to make messy art, I put that there because I have benefited from ignoring a lot of this at times. So it's just finding, you know, when I want to, like, I just feel like it helps me reduce my inhibitions, and it reduces my self-judgment and getting too critical. The problem with, if you get too self-critical over a lot of what people would say are essential components of art, there will be times when this is going to like stop you doing it, and that seems to be counterintuitive. So then I'd go to, let's make some bad, ugly art. And then when you've done that period, you can go back to studying and being a bit more academic in your approach to it. Okay, I hope that was helpful in terms of giving you some ideas. Maybe if you want to try, well, maybe you do mind maps. I'm sure I'm not alone in this, or maybe they might be a helpful way for, if you are trying to get a bit more focused with your art this year, to really dial down on exploring your ideas in sort of a fun, colourful way. You can also bring in, because we're artists, sketch notes. So actually you drawing, making little illustrations as well. So, oh my gosh, this is my quick illustration of a book. Can also jazz up my maps. And this one I cut out like, what's it called? You know, you go to a paint shop and you get the booklets with all the different pages in. So let's go on to the next part of the video, where I'll do a voiceover as I go through a big pile, talking about exploration. Oh, this is what I wanted to, reworking. One of my goals is also to rework abstracts. That's ongoing. So I always like to refine some of them. Okay, these two videos have been slightly sped up, but I thought maybe they're quite fun to include. This is when I was going through, so as I said, I've sorted out a massive pile of paper and actually got rid of some, like properly recycled some, but I've also made a pile. These ones I'm showing here are ones I quite like and I'm going to keep, and I'm sort of filing them away because I think these are complete. So I like to keep them as drawings. They just give me some different ideas. That one there I also want to keep, and this one also is finished. So these are like finished abstract works on paper for me, which is nice to reflect on actually, and it's given me some more ideas. They're quite detailed. I obviously had a phase. I did that one quite a while ago, but in my sort of maximalist phase. Yeah, so I'm showing that, and as I say, I sort of talked through it all, but to be honest with you, it was quite long and even more waffly. So what I want to do is I'm going to show now, in talking about exploration, and one of my goals is I've got a big pile of paper that I'm going to show in a minute. Here it comes, which I went through. It's all of a similar size, and it's basically a fun pile that I'm going to keep out for me to grab, and days when I don't want to have blank paper, or if I'm really in that phase where I don't want to waste like new stuff, I can rework all these old sheets of paper that for me they've got the beginnings of something. I can go off in different directions. It's all, in terms of exploration, it's just a fun and exciting way of working. This one here I'm showing, I think I was wanting to show this because it's related to, if you can see, I was meant to put like a castle, my home castle where I live from memory. It's the idea of bringing in the abstract into sort of loose, naive art, and just building on drawings. So yeah, these are all bits of paper that ended up in a pile. I think because I do clear my floor from time to time, and then I sort of knew about them, but I just kept. I think it built up. So now I want to focus on getting these finished. They're not quite finished. Sometimes I think I'd start a piece and then, I don't have much time, or I'm using old paint up and I put it away for another session and I forget about it. But what I can do now is just grab these and look, that one there would actually be talking about my aims for abstract. These are some abstract landscapes that I want to develop. So within this pile, there's a huge amount of, as I say, different. Well, that's not an abstract, is it? That was a still life. Whoops. But yeah, some of these actually are sort of landscapes that I can then abstract more. Also found some of my kids' old drawings they didn't want, so I would reuse their paper. I like that, but that needs more work. Yeah, I'm distracting myself by looking at myself going through this work. I also wanted to show this because in the video that follows on, I filmed myself working on some of the sheets here, just to show that I am focused, making a start on altering some of these pieces, which is hopefully quite fun. I quite like watching that in other artist videos. I hope you're drawing along with me. This is hopefully the sort of video that you can sketch along to too. Yeah, there is a lot of work here, as you can see, which a lot of it is also me using up. When I talked about last week, and I wrote an essay actually for Substack on, art when you're not feeling well or you're not feeling 100%. This is the sort of artwork that I think, again, if you've got low energy for whatever reason, you've got fatigue from maybe got a really stressful situation. There's not always illness that can make us feel low on energy. These are great fun to work on. You can just do little bits and you can put them to one side, and I don't find them so frustrating. This one I wanted to show because there's a lot of, it's really hard to see, but there's a lot of collage on this, and it's on flimsy, cheap printer paper, and it was a reminder that you can, sometimes I did actually, to be fair, I don't love my collages on this paper, and I actually chucked out a load, but this one I wanted to keep because it was a good illustration of when it goes right for me. So I just like the textures as well, like building up the textures. But you do need to use quite good glue. Make sure. I did watch some, here I'm showing a Yoo-hoo glue stick, because I did research at one point when I was getting into collage, what are proper collage artists to even sell their work, what are they using? And from what I understand, like matte medium is a very good adhesive. But sometimes I find that a bit messy. I often just use a Yoo-hoo stick because a lot of the time it's my collage now, it's on work that I'm not particularly worried about keeping forever, and in my sketchbooks. Okay, so as you can see, this pile is a little bit muddled up as well with a few still life. Here we go. This is why I really want to do abstract landscapes. I've got some bits started that I feel I can like go on top of. And oh, that was me actually making a drawing from my dreams. Okay, there's a floor. Whoa, it is a real pile of work, isn't it? Yep, I've got... Here I want to show this one because, okay, it's not an abstract, but this bit of paper is watercolour paper. And sometimes my watercolours, I like to use watercolour paper in the first instance for watercolours, but I'm sure I'm not alone in struggling with watercolour. And when I do muck them up, I don't know, it's hard to sort of, as it were, rescue a watercolour. But what I like to do is keep the paper because then you can go on top of that. It's a real good basis for gouache, mixed media. This piece is going to come up in my subsequent next segment, and it's one that I want to alter, and I had it in my mind. I looked at this when I was going through my paper, and I sort of in my head saw adding some more gouache, bold colours, but I wanted to keep that sort of teal drawing, and it's an illustration of how I, again, I just swish a bit of paper on, swish a bit of colour on paper when I'm using up my paints. Addition and subtraction here, this will grow. I want to like add, and you can then cover up. And it was a reminder also to use different implements like palette knives. I'm really trying to be braver about using, maybe get some sticks. Like I don't have to just use brushes and pens. Okay, and that was a really old bit of paper. I think now we're going to come up to my next segment of the video. Yeah, that bit of paper there was actually one of my kids again. Is going to be where I'm altering a few of these pages that I've identified are to be reworked. So yeah, just wanting to share with you guys the reason I actually did share the mind map, idea was because I read one of my comments on my recent Substack essay, and yeah, someone asked me directly about how I use them in art because they're interested. So I thought maybe let's just make a video on it because I can sort of talk through it. It's a bit of an easier way of illustrating it and actually show some mind maps as well. And yeah, this segment though, I have, as you can see, this is the piece that was when I was going through my papers, just showing all the papers I've identified that I can do more too. So what I love to do in terms of sort of an abstract art session, and now for one of my goals is working on paper and getting out of sketchbooks, I just love to have a pile of these papers. I can then, because the thing with paint is often you do need to let some of the layers dry. So here you can see I've got some gouache out, and I'm just going to use this purple gouache on a few different papers, and then I can put them. I sort of put them all over the place, which is why my studio is messy. But then I can sort of come back in and then add, just keep going between. I think some people would hate this way of working. I'm sure there's going to be people who are like, this is very chaotic, and a lot of people might just want to work on one thing, and I appreciate that. But this, for me, turning towards mixed media, this has really helped me out because it means that I'm not like, I can get out one paint and I can do lots of different painting at one time, and then I can also go with how I'm feeling. If I want to then switch and add some crayon in, I can, because I've got pieces that have then dried, or I've got other pieces of paper that I've identified to come back on top of. And it's just okay, I'm just gonna be honest with you, it's just super fun. I just love that. Oh, what should I do now? Oh, let's look at this one. What could I do to this one? I'm going to add a bit here. And I think in some ways it helps me as well to either like if I'm getting too much into one piece and I'm worried I kind of like the stage it's at, I can put it down for a while, and then before sort of blindly, as it were, going to maximalist on it, like give it a bit of a breather. Yeah, so hopefully this will show that I do sort of come back to work, and if you're wanting to know a little bit more about my sort of abstract process, this is basically how I work a lot of the time. Again, I might look to change this a bit. I think that's one of the reasons I like making mind maps. If I feel like I want to change things up a bit, making myself a lot of this is what I'm sharing is a little bit personal. Like mind maps, I think the nice thing about a mind map is, it really gives you license to that whole like putting it all, brain dumping it in some ways. But because you're not like writing, it's not like the morning pages where you're journaling, where you're sort of writing long form out everything. Just having the odd word or words that sort of focus you, or just your ideas, helps really to help me zone in on maybe more of what I want to focus on, either in the short term, like these are my sort of abstract ideas within a topic, or you could even do, I don't know, a weekly. This could also be used. A bullet journaling used to be in, wasn't it, a while ago? I don't know if it still is. Basically, I do need to have a written diary. I'm not great. I know everyone, I have a calendar on my phone, but I also do like to, for me, it's really important to write out. I feel like things don't go into my brain unless I write things out. So yeah, it's just another way of helping me break down topics into sort of different categories. And I think this has helped me. It's definitely helped me just to have on my radar, like, so I don't get too, also, so I don't, like a squirrel, go down down a rabbit hole, as it were. So I could sort of, as it were, look at the bigger picture. Sometimes they're really helpful for if you want to like have an overview also of maybe some goals or a topic area. Yeah, so I hope this was, as I say, helpful to anyone who wants some planning ideas for their art. And I think also for people who are business minded, this can also help you break down. Maybe you've got some both, you've got your personal artistic goals, but maybe you want to, like this year, share your art out on different platforms, and maybe you could also brainstorm. It's really good also for brainstorming. That, as I said, initially it helped me when I was really stressed out about making videos. It was really helpful for also planning ideas for YouTube. Okay, so as you can see, I am really still jumping about on these bits of paper, and I do think you may have seen I've had a look at some of the sketchbooks as well, some of my old sketchbooks for ideas. So you can see how, just glancing at the pages, I do feel the marks come in, or I'll see a colour. I very much, here I'm just keeping to two different mediums. You've got the gouache, and I've got some Neo Colour 1 crayons. And yeah, this has also been helpful for, I'm really pleased, just a little, because this has come to the end of my video now, just a little recap on thinking about my art goals. I feel actually the sheet is holding me accountable. I think one of the things I've written down is using up my supplies this year and changing them out, and I've been doing that. And so, that's one of my old sketchbooks. I have been doing that, I think successfully. As I've said, I've even used up some gunky paints, so that's all gone. And yeah, no, it does feel nice to know what I've got, to know I think I've done two processes in my studio. I've had a bit of a tidy up of all my art materials, and then this week that's just gone, I've focused on actually going through my work. And I think it's a constant process. Like I would say to the kids, isn't it? It's like their folders at school. You do need to just sometimes go back and have a bit of a filing, tidy out, and actually get rid of some stuff. So here I am just adding more gouache. I'm going to say, because it's coming up to the end of my video, thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with, I've got some more of my ideas. Oh, if anybody has any other questions, because they want answered, please do pop them in the comments, and I could maybe do a question and answer style video. I'll probably do another I like to do artist vlogs, or where I look through work I've created in the week. But yeah, this one I just wanted to, as I say, focus. I wanted to show more of a bit of my abstract process, some of my work, and also how I get the ideas. Like I do feel I think abstract art can be a bit off-putting because it's so open. So it is nice to, when you're starting out, this is what I found helpful, to like have a sort of list of, or a little mind map of jumping off points. Yeah, so I hope you all are getting some creative time in and enjoying it, enjoying the process. I think that is also one of the most important aspects for me in terms of sharing my art. The whole, as I've said before, like the therapeutic benefits from art are central to me. And yeah, thanks again, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.